Welcome to I Love My HBCU ? The podcast where we express our undeniable love for HBCUs, but where we are also not afraid to address a few tough questions. So, sit back, learn a little, love a lot, and rep your HBCU. All right, it's another episode and another reason to love your HBCU. We have Jackson State University in the house by way of the lovely Rayvn Webster. Rayvn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I can't complain, Rayvn. Oh, no. I'm going to say, Rayvn knows what I'm about to say. Rayvn knows what I'm about to say. So, I've been better, I've been worse, but today I'm doing pretty good. So that's how I am. Thanks for asking, Rayvn. Rayvn, I want to get right to why you're with us today, right? I was moseying around and I saw this lovely post of you in this gorgeous, photo shoot image, and it was promoting your book. I want to get straight to your book. And my excitement for wanting to get straight to your book is I am an introvert, and nobody believes me who sees me in the outside world that I'm an introvert. How would you define being, wait, let's, because I need to get your book, I need to get the name of your book out there several times. Okay. Ravyn wrote a book, Introverted and In Charge, a black girl's HBCU survival. She has it up. There we go. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
When I saw that, I smiled so hard to myself because, again, like I mentioned, I'm an introvert. And before we get too far ahead, when you hear the word introvert, why do you self-identify as one? How would you define an introvert?
So I think the biggest misconception that people have about being an introvert is that we're just quiet and just to ourselves, just somewhere off in a corner. However, that's not the case. I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm literally the life of the party. However, I am an introvert because there are things that I'd rather be doing. I like to spend time alone. I like to spend a lot of time by myself. I have a social battery that drains very fast, especially when I'm around a crowded environment. So it's not to say that, I don't mind doing this, but I'd rather be by myself. So it's so many different forms of being an introvert. But I think the biggest misconception is that we're all just quiet. No, I can talk, I can do things, I can go present, be out there. However, I'd still rather kind of be a little bit alone to myself in my own little cozy corner at the end of the day.
So the only word I did not hear you say with regards to the misconception of introverts is I've heard a lot of people say, oh, but you're not shy. And just because I'm not shy, because I'm not a shy person, and just because I'm not shy, I've literally had friends tell me, nah, Tosin, you're not an introvert. And I'm like, if you only knew that I'm tolerating this conversation right now.
Yes.
And the second I get an out, I'm about to quite literally leave this conversation. You'd understand how introverted I am. What inspired you to write the book?
So what really inspired me is, I was just a regular person on campus, literally. But I don't hold a high held position. I'm not the face of anything. I'm not SGA. I'm not Royal Court. I'm not, an athlete or in the band or anything like that. I'm just a regular person who goes to school, goes to campus, and I'm in different organizations, but I'm not facing anything. So, with that being said, it's more so okay, hey, where's the recognition for the people who are literally just there behind the scenes doing everything and just going to school, being regular people? Where are because HBCU culture is loud. It's very loud. It's loud. It's all together. I love HBCU culture. But what about the ones who go to a HBCU that are quiet? It's not to say that, I'm quiet all the time, but what's to say, like, where's the recognition for us? So I was like, during my time of isolation, because I went into isolation period as of last year, where I just took the time to focus on me and myself. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna write about this. And at the time, around that time too, I had just turned 20 as well. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna write about this, because why does nobody tell you anything about guiding yourself going into your 20s, that drastic switch? Nobody tells you about how life is in college. I wish somebody would have told me these things. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna guide y'all through it and tell y'all about these things as well. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense.
Okay.
Absolutely makes sense. And the fact that it's coming from a very personal perspective, I believe makes it a lot more relatable. When you were talking and you said that nobody ever talks about the people that are, just doing the thing in the background, it reminded me of, I think it's Susan Cain, and the name of her book is Quiet. And somewhere in the book, she talks about
Mm-hmm.
how the world celebrates the loudest people. And that is so true. And I think it is impossible
Yes.
for you not to step onto an HBCU campus and not feel that the world really celebrates. They don't really have to be making much sense. They don't really have to be saying a heck of a lot. But the world celebrates the loudest ones, the extroverts, the ones that we never talk. Oh, Raven, have you ever heard anyone describe an introvert as charismatic?
I don't think I've ever heard.
Neither have I.
No.
And the reason why I stopped myself is because I was hoping you had heard of it. I haven't heard of it. I typically hear everyone call the extrovert, the one that
Vert.
brings, everybody to.
Yeah.
That's the person they call charismatic, which makes me wonder. So for the Ravens of the world, for the Tosins of the world who can bring it when they need to bring it,
Right.
but don't necessarily live in that space all the time, you don't necessarily consider us charismatic, and I don't think that's fair. I did not do a proper introduction of you because I was so excited. I was so excited to get to your book.
No,
Anytime
we're
someone
good.
says that they're an introvert, I want to hear how they navigate. So I'm still going to come back to that. But you are a junior at Jackson State
Mm.
University, and you are an industrial technology engineering major. Is that
Yes,
accurate?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Raven. For the Tothans of the world, and I'm also speaking for our freshmen who might be listening, who have an idea of what they want to do in engineering, but they don't quite know. What does an industrial technology engineer do?
Ooh, I love this question. So, my major is industrial technology. I have a concentration of electronic systems technology as well. So, me as a person, I love everything about engineering, but I could not pick just one. So, once I, did more research and found out, because I originally, before coming in college, I was a bio pre-med major because I wanted to go to school to be an anesthesiologist. But that changed when, I got right back into the world of engineering, fell in love with it. And I always tell people my inspiration behind being an engineer is Tinkerbell. Right. So I'll get back to that in a minute. But industrial technology is literally almost every concept and field of engineering combined into one. And because I could not pick one, I chose this major and I absolutely fell in love with it. I do everything from coding to building to making prototypes. It is so much behind in this field and it's so flexible. And I love that because I have ADHD. I can't just sit still and just do one thing. So when stuff changes and I can do whatever, I absolutely love it. But my whole reasoning behind being an engineer is Tinkerbell because she was a woman who tinkered. She tinkered. Like that's what she did. And she didn't let nobody stop her. She didn't let nobody tell her different. And she's my whole inspiration and reasoning behind being an engineer because I love it.
I
It's a
love
woman in
this.
STEM.
Gosh, this is beautiful. And the this is beautiful reflection that I just had when you said Tinkerbell, my heart, I don't know that much about Tinkerbell and cartoons and so on and so forth because I've always been that nerd that was just give me a book in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Anyway, um but what made me smile is this. You know how we're always talking about how do we get more women and especially young girls interested in the quote unquote complex
Right.
ideas, and the fact that it is Tinkerbell that got you interested in engineering and the whole idea of figuring things out and tinkering with things, even if there might not be an absolute clean solution at the end of it, is what got you interested in engineering. We need to start making these connections more
Connections.
and more. That's what warmed my heart. I was like, wait, hold on. We need to make more and more of these connections. Okay, I've got a whole heck of a lot more to get into with you, but if you know us, we always treat our amazing guests with a rapid fire segment. And
Ooh,
so I'm going to throw a bunch of questions at you in 67 seconds. And I'm looking forward to as many of hearing the answers to as many of them as you can. Are you ready?
gotcha.
She's like, I don't have a choice. I'm ready. Okay. Rayvn, describe yourself in 3 words.
3 words. Outgoing, caring, humble.
Outgoing, caring, humble. And this is coming up for you pretty soon. You're at your commencement graduation ceremony. Who would you want? Who's your dream commencement speaker if you have one?
Ooh, dream commencement speaker. Ooh. um, Taraji P. Henson. Ooh, yeah.
Taraji P.
Taraji.
Taraji
Yes.
P. Okay, okay. What's your unpopular opinion about HBCUs?
Unpopular opinion about HBCUs. Um, I gotta be careful how I say that.
Say the
um,
thing.
you know what? Ooh, can't really think of nothing. Can't really think of nothing. Love
Okay,
my
no
HBCU
worries.
culture.
She said I've got to be careful what I say. So, guys, I think she has something to say. She's just not saying it. So, we're going to move on. We are
For
going
sure.
to move on. Shout out your favorite professor or person at your institution. What do they do? Who are they? What do they do?
Oh, favorite. You know what? It my Okay, you know what? Shout out to Dr. Talori. He does my research with DHS, and shout out to Miss the people in my department of engineering, Miss
Okay.
Chrysler and Miss Washington.
The
Perfect.
whole department, because it takes an
Whole
entire
department
village. The
takes
whole
a whole
department.
village.
Okay, I was just told that it's done, but I'm going to squeeze in one more question. I
One
always
more.
do.
Gotcha.
Because it's the last question, you can take a little bit of time in answering it. What message do you have for your university president that you have not shared with them?
Oh yes, I love. Okay, okay. Any question that I have? No, not question. Okay. The message that I have for Dr. Denise, she's doing a great job so far. She's actually been really sweet. She has a copy of my book. So, hey, you know what? She's doing a good job. I believe she has every quality to lead the school into greatness and continue to lead into greatness while she's here. So, hey, I love it. I love it. I love
So
her. She's
it'll
great.
be keep going, is what it
Just
sounds
keep
like.
going.
Keep going.
Basically. Yes.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep doing the good work that you're doing. That's what I'm
She's
hearing
doing a
from
great
you.
job. Yes.
All right, Rayvn, tell me your college selection journey. You are from Memphis.
I
You
am.
ended up in Mississippi. There are, whew, in the South, you've got choice upon choice upon choice with regards to HBCU. Why this one?
So, I am actually a three-time legacy at the Jackson State University. My father went here. My mother is an alum, two-time alum at Jackson State University, and my sister recently just graduated in back in spring of 25.
Wow.
So, you
Wow.
know,
You
it's
didn't
what
have a
I knew
choice.
growing up. A lot of people did have came to me when they said that, but you know what? At one point of time, before coming to Jackson State, I took it upon myself, since I am the youngest. I took it upon myself to be like, okay, I want to be a little different, and I was like, you know what? I might go here. It might go. That my family supportive. As long as you choose a HBCU, we're good. But I knew that Jackson State was home. So as far as that, I was like, you know what, this is what I've known, this is home. And as soon as I got down here and I touched on campus, I felt right back at home.
Nice.
So I'm glad I went with my right mind and conscience and
Absolutely.
chose exactly where I need to be.
What's the best part of being at Jackson State University?
It's like family here. It really is. I walk on campus, just and well, me being on campus, me being who I am on campus, I walk on campus, people come, they say hey, you're free to say hey to anybody, free to just come up, everybody's approachable. And then we're all coming from different parts of the world, everybody feels welcome, the different cultures coming together. I love Jackson State University. This is home. This is really, really home.
What do you say to those who, this is my last Jackson State University question or direct HBCU institution experience question, because I want to pivot back to your book. I definitely want to hear what you would say to our freshmen who are walking into an awkward space in college as
Yes.
introverts. But before that, what would you say to those who, because I hear this all the time, so I ask as many people as I can this question. The
Hmm.
world is not an HBCU.
Yes.
That's not the way the world is constituted. No
Yes.
matter what our numbers are, we are not numerically in the
Hmm.
majority, but on an HBCU campus, we absolutely are. What do
Yes.
you say to those who say it is a false comfort and a false illusion being in an HBCU, knowing fully well that you're going to step out there into the real world, and when you step out there into the real world, this is not, this cocoon that you've been in is not what you're going to experience? What do you say to those people?
So this is one thing that I tell people, and somebody told me this before, but you have your whole life to be a minority. Why not go to HBCU? Why not be at a HBCU? I wouldn't necessarily say it's a false comfort, a false claim of comfort, but I will say that it just takes time. It's an adjustment,
Yeah.
because once you get on your campus, wherever you may roam, wherever you may go, once you get on your campus, you're going to find comfort. You're going to find, that you belong in this space, that you fit in wherever you are. And that's one thing. Like, you don't have to force yourself to fit in, because you'll ease your way into there.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I'm always grateful. I'm being biased, but I'm always grateful when I hear that type of response.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the I think confidence is one of those things that some people might be lucky and they're just born with it. But I think
Yeah.
most of us have to grow into it, and most of us have to find it, like explore it within ourselves. And I think if you are in the wrong foundation,
Mm-hmm.
especially in undergrad, it can be
Yeah.
a little harder to walk out confidently into this world that is waiting to treat you like a minority, even when they don't
Exactly.
intend to treat you like a minority. And I find that people find that at HBCUs, learning their voice, growing their confidence, and being embraced because you are.
Becoming.
There we go. So,
Yeah.
which takes us very, very beautiful transition into HBCU survival for the introvert.
Yes.
So, for our freshmen, this could be anyone. I'm simply saying freshmen because I know we're recording this in the fall semester of
Mm-hmm.
2025. And for the new and incoming people, they're still going to be trying to figure out their way. Just give us two guides that you think, listen, if you don't read the whole book, which everybody must go ahead and get the book, but if you don't read the whole book and oh my gosh, I need you to succeed at this journey. What are the two things? And if you want to take it down to one, you can. What's the one or two things that you would want every freshman to at least pay attention to? Now, you're going to have to get Ravyn's book to get the details behind it, but
I
give
gotta
us
get
some
the
of the
book.
guides. That's the book, Introverted and In Charge, guys.
Oh, so I will say one thing, and I went through this in my freshman year, but I have a chapter that's called How to Find Your People Without Doing the Most. And that chapter is solely dedicated to finding your people at an HBCU, specifically not without changing who you are and, yes, without changing who you are as a person yourself. So I think that one's important because during, your college journey, you can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. And, the people that you meet in college are usually ones who you are bound for a lifetime with. So I that chapter is so, so important. It's important to find your people during college. Um, my other chapter I would say is let me see. Let me think. Ah, speak up without switching up. Yes. I think that's my sixth chapter. Yeah. So it's speak up without switching up. Um, using your voice but not changing who you are.
There anyone listening, whether you've gotten the book, whether you've gone to look it up, which I hope you're doing, and whether or not you've read all the table of contents, you should be hearing a theme. And the theme I'm hearing is remaining true to yourself. I'm hearing that consistently in all the things that I'm hearing you say. In remaining true to yourself, how did you find your people without doing the most, Ravyn?
Whew, freshman year. So during my freshman year, before I came into college, I was so grateful to be a part of a STEM program for the summer. And like I said, once you find little programs and everything on campus, go with it because, you're going to meet a lot of people through there. But I ended up finding my five main group of friends through that program. And with that, I also, I found other additional friends. And, it takes a while, especially while you're in college, you're more aware of who you're around, but, you kind of developed who you're around. I'm not going to say I'm friends with everybody. And, sometimes you do lose friends on the way, which is okay. And I want people to know that it is okay. Like, don't have to stay here for a friendship or anything like that. But, during college, you're more aware of, who you're around and who you're surrounded by. And also being surrounded by people, especially if you're surrounded by, positive people, that's, how you're going to be affected, how you're going to be around. I don't just stay with people who are within my major. I have all different types of friends, especially in different majors. But something brings us all together because we're all the same. We all act the same. The whole friend group is actually neurodivergent, which I love.
Wow.
The whole friend group, we're all neurodivergent, and I love that. That's our commons, but those have been literally my best friends ever since. They show up and they support me through everything, and I take that with me even continuously while I go on different opportunities and go out and meet other people. I'm just myself. Like, I'm just me at the end of the day, you know.
And remaining you is going to attract the right people along the way is what I'm hearing, because when I hear you say that So the beautiful thing about the word neurodivergent, from the very little that I know about it, is versatility and difference in the way people treat the world. And I know there's a more scientific breakdown to this, guys. I'm fully aware of that. But it also signals for me that all of you are probably extremely different in the way you experience college and life. Yet you found each other. And that could be the thing that actually brought all of you together, which I absolutely love. Um, I asked this question, or I love to have this conversation about what sets your soul on fire. And when I say what sets your soul on fire, I am of the opinion that every HBCU is its own social impact institution, and we are a social impact organization. As I love my HBCU question mark. Um, we are recording this at a time when so many different things are going on in the world, and you are an industrial technology engineer. You are you Tinkerbell is your muse, and I'm tying these two things together intentionally because if for nothing else, your generation,
Mm-hmm.
I think your generation has thrown out all the rules, Ravyn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or have at
Gen
least
Z.
bucked them. Listen, Gen Z has bucked those rules. What do you care about that you think we, i.e., the generations beyond you, should be paying attention to a little bit more?
So I will say no. I'm actually gonna give the generations before a little bit credit on this topic, but as for saying, I talk so big. I'm a big advocate on mental health. I'm such a big advocate on mental health because if you are not taking care of your mental health, then that destroys you as a person and as your body it affects. And I live in the South. I've always born and raised in the South, lived in the South, both my parents from the South. However, you know, out here down in the South, especially moving towards, out Mississippi, there are some people who still don't have the concept of, mental health being an important topic. But I will say with my generation, we have been the rule breakers, the generational curse breakers. Um, we've come out on a lot of different topics. And I vouch so much for mental health, especially, and I know my generation. So the thing as well, at my school, we hold a lot of things to help people with their mental health. And then, with it also being Suicide Prevention Month during September, we've been host just anything to have anybody available. So I will give the older generation credit because they're learning. Because, before then, we weren't really, I'm not gonna say we, but it wasn't really told to express your emotion, say how you feel. All of that was considered as talking back. However, there's nothing wrong with expressing how you feel. There's nothing wrong with being you at the end of the day. So I think we have to. I'm not gonna say we have to be a little more mindful of it because y'all are doing. The older generation's doing a great job with learning, but we do have to be very aware of that, if that makes sense. Does it make sense?
It does. It does. It all makes sense. I'm smiling and listening to you. I was in conversation with a number of students late last week, so recently enough. And one of them, your generation, Gen Z, one of them said, I understand that we must care about our mental health, but I also need us to be very careful not to lead with our feelings all the time. So,
Yes.
number one, can you relate?
Yes, I will say I think my generation is also a little overly sensitive as well. I do get that a lot, especially from my mother. She's a little overly sensitive. But, I do think my generation is just a little overly sensitive. We kind of go a little bit based off of feeling more than sometimes off of logical sense, but eventually we get there. So
And so I asked that because I am older than you, clearly. But I asked that because number one, I appreciate that that's the issue that matters most to you right now.
Mhm.
That and you gave us credit when I said, "What are we not paying attention to, or could we be paying attention to a little bit more?" You said, "We're doing a little bit okay." So thank you for giving us that. Um, but I believe that I don't think we're having the right conversations about mental health.
Yes.
And I'm curious to hear what your opinions are about that. And here's what I mean when I say I don't think we're having the right conversations about mental health. I think people throw it out there, take care of your mental health. Just throw
Yes.
that out there, take care of your mental health. But what does that mean?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, no,
Oh,
no,
me. No.
go ahead. I have a
Okay.
whole lot more. I have a whole lot more to add to it, but I'm you want to say, so go ahead. What does that
Yeah.
mean when somebody says take care of your mental health? Because it's become very buzzy, Raven, to just
Yeah.
say take care of your mental health. Go ahead.
It's very blunt, a lot, and they'll throw it out there. Take care of your mental health. Okay, how? You know, like what? What do I do? And I know a lot of people say that, but it's just like, okay, nobody gives you direction or gives you the follow up as of like, how to do it. Okay, so with that being said, there are so many other issues to break down just on mental health alone. The signs of it, of if it's deteriorating, the signs of if it's good, the signs of if it's bad. Um, Self-care ties a lot with mental health, and whatever makes you happy, whatever does the best for you. But at the end of the day, like, if you're not taking care of yourself, people don't define it as much as of, taking care of yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself, then, like, you're not going to be okay as a person. um, and especially while in college, it's so important to make sure that you prioritize your mental health, first. Like, as a college student, they've thrown out so many resources. But even not while just being a college student, I think it goes under notice in Black men as well. Mental health goes unnoticed in the youth, as in the children. That goes because some people don't think they have feelings. Mental health goes unnoticed in the elders. We don't talk about these enough. Nobody breaks this down enough. They just say take care. How? Like, does that make sense?
So that I absolutely get what you're saying. So there's how, and then for me there's also what. And let me tell you what I mean when I say the what.
Yeah.
In the United States of America, in the last 20 years, right? I believe that it is impossible for anybody's mental health to be progressively intact. I really do. And I
Mm-hmm.
say that boldly because what affects one's mental health? What allows me to be at good mental equilibrium? That's what we're talking about, right? When we're talking about mental health. When I turn on the television and I am accosted by, and when I say shootings, it's
Mm-hmm.
everything, every way, any group.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. And we throw out the fact that, oh, we are desensitized towards it. Yes, we
Yes.
are.
Very.
Are we not then making the connection of how is this not deteriorating the entire nation's mental equilibrium? If and I'm going to give this as an example when the two I don't know if you heard of this, but earlier on in the summer, two Democratic politicians, well, I think one was a Democratic politician and the person's spouse were shot. And I saw that in
Mm-hmm.
1 second, and then the next second we're all moving on. We're all moving on. And I'm like, well, hold on. Can we take a minute and process the fact that this might mean that If a Rayvn Webster is interested in politics, she needs to be
Mm-hmm.
careful because she just might have made herself a target for an
Mm-hmm.
assassination. Like, are we not connecting the dots that even though, yes, we become desensitized to the action, there is a
Mm-hmm.
reverberating effect of this on us? Now, I don't know what kind of introvert you are, Ravyn, but I'm that introvert that will think about these things over and
And
over and
over.
over again, because most introverts, they need the noise to die down. And
Yeah.
when the noise dies down, their mind just starts to reflect and meditate on things. How does that not affect your mental health equilibrium by the end of the day? So I don't know. What
Yeah.
can we do about that being a social impact issue, Ravyn? How do we legitimately address the declining mental health of our entire nation? How do, and that's an unfair question to ask you. Let me be very clear. I think it's very unfair because Ravyn can't have the answer. But I do want you, Ravyn, to share what your thoughts are on what we can do, how we can start addressing it, even if it's just individuals. Yeah, let me stop talking. Sorry, go ahead.
So I find things mostly like that very overbearing. It gets to a point where sometimes, you can't even just look at the news and see what's going on because it's always something. And me as a person, in order to save my mental health last year, I deleted social media. I actually was off social media for a whole year. I actually, some may call it over dramatic, but I call it protecting my peace because, and my generation has a social media addiction. I know they do. But I start to see it with a little bit of the older generations as well, while they're on their phone and, they're playing their games and Candy Crush and all that. But, a lot of people will be like, okay, well, how am I going to know about this? How am I going to know about that? How am I going to know what's happening? There are so many other sources than social media because social media is very graphic. And not only that, like I said, it's addicting. So with it, that being said, like with it being so graphic, it's no censor on anything.
Yeah,
So it's just like we're used to seeing all of this and then just going about our way and moving on with it in the world. Not around here, partner.
I
No.
hear you. I smiled when you said you went off social media for an entire year, and some people call that dramatic, and you call it protecting your peace.
It's fair.
But it brought to mind the fact that there are movements in different parts of Europe now at
Mm.
lower levels of primary school and high school and kindergarten. Well, not kindergarten, primary and high school, where primary and secondary is what they call it, not high school. So primary and
I mean,
secondary
in
school,
secondary. Yeah.
where you have to turn your phone off during the
Yeah.
day, like entirely, and check it into a lockbox until the end of school. I've got a question for you, Ravyn.
Oh, I've got an answer.
Do you think HBCUs should consider that as a tool with regards to maintaining our mental health equilibrium? What are your thoughts? Do you
A
think we should adopt
lockbox?
that? Just getting off your phone like during class hours. So maybe not a lockbox, but because actually, yeah, no, let's
Nice.
go there. Let's go there. Let's go there. Lockbox. Because I don't trust whenever I tell students, can we please turn the phones off? No, they're not really turning it off. So yes, what are your thoughts on HBCUs encouraging students to put their phones in a lockbox just during class hours?
Class
That's
hours.
it. What are your thoughts?
So for an HBCU, I would say no. For maybe a high school or a middle school, I would say maybe.
Okay.
But specifically for an HBCU, we're adults. We're growing into adults. We're all being adults. At the end of the day, what I've learned, especially being in my classes, if you learn, you learn. If not, and you're going to have to figure it out on your own. I specifically would not put anything in a lockbox because I know there is so many things that are going on, and some people need to be reachable and contactable. And I know that's really, in case anything or an emergency, but they're only like 50-minute classes. So, I mean, yes, no cell phone. I wouldn't put it in a lockbox. And I also say the same thing almost for like high school students as well. I mean, during elementary school, we weren't allowed to have our phones out. During elementary school, I don't even think we had phones, but we weren't allowed to have our
Now
phones out.
Rayvn,
They do now.
Phones at 5 years old, Rayvn.
Oh my gosh.
They do.
Those kids have better phones than me.
Literally.
I just upgraded. I was like, oh my.
I have an iPhone 12. Let's be clear. So
goodness. So it's just
you're not going to like this. And I typically don't share my actual opinion, but I want to share it on this one.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
Because I disagree with you, Rayvn. And Rayvn, I agree. I absolutely agree that we are adults when we get to college, or at least we're entering into adulthood. I don't even think I can say we're all adults yet, but we're entering into adulthood when we are traditional aged college students, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you used a word earlier on that I absolutely agree with. There's an addiction to social media. And typically when there is an addiction, there isn't always ultimate trust that you're going to do the quote unquote right thing without assistance. Are you with me?
I'm with you. I'm following.
You're following me. So I'm not saying the entire day, but I am saying during classes, because it truly is an addiction, they actually should be encouraged to lock it up somewhere. Because I've seen the students who are an online class, and I'm not kidding, Rayvn. I see their laptop and I see their phones like propped right next to it. And so, of course, the professor on the other end who's teaching is assuming, yes, you're with me. And I
taking
see
notes.
his hand over here, just scrolling like right here.
Which,
and
what?
I don't blame them. I actually, because I honestly believe that's why I loved the fact that you used the word addiction. I think it's a reflex. I don't think it's like this intentional thing. I think not just your generation, the world right now is used to inefficient multitasking. So I'm going to listen to Ravyn, who's my professor. At the same time, I'm taking notes. And at the same time, I'm scrolling. And at the same time, and so we don't know that we're actually doing it. And that's why I think that there could be assistance given by asking you, give me your phone. Just put it in this little pouch until after class. And then after class, you can take your phone back and go be as addicted as you want to be until the next class. That's my take.
You know what? My other thing with that, though, is it's more than just a phone. iPads, computers, and you can do a lot with watch Netflix and pretend to take notes, or probably take notes while watching Netflix, so
you got me beat.
But I do agree. I will say I do agree with you. Some professors, when I was taking chemistry at some point, we had put our phones in a box and up in the front, but that's usually during like a test, which makes the most sense because a lot of people, they use their phone.
They seek assistance. They seek assistance.
Yes. Get a little side chat assistance, and at this point, I've noticed that some people are just here to get a degree, and others are here to learn and get the degree.
That's fair.
And earn the degree. So you know what? None of my business, but.
That's fair. And the reality is there isn't going to be a surefire answer to any of
Right.
this. It's just hoping that you begin to start asking yourself, what's best for me by the end of the
Mhm.
day? And I'm hoping that you pick what's best for you that doesn't allow so much influence from everywhere else.
Right.
Ravyn, is there anything that you were like, wait, you should have asked me this question that you want to share with our audience before we wrap things up?
Oh, I can't believe our time's coming to an end
I
already.
know, right?
Gosh.
I know we could talk
Oh,
forever. We literally
literally.
could. Yes.
um, Let me think. Can't really think of nothing. I have this gorgeous book in front of me.
I love
This
it. I
really
love it.
gorgeous book in front
I
of
do
me.
have something for you though, Ravyn.
Yes.
Flip to any page. Yes.
Page. Any
Flip to
page.
any page and
Oh,
read
I
for
love it.
us, if you don't mind, maybe just your favorite paragraph from a chapter in your book.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to put it like this. Okay. So this will be chapter 10. And this one is called I'd Rather Love Myself. Subquote, learning to be full without forcing someone else to fill you. So,
Whoa. Okay, your chapter titles are fire. Okay? Like literally.
thank
Sorry.
you.
Go
Oh my
ahead. I
gosh.
love your chapter titles.
Okay. There have been so many moments where I went out looking for love in other people only to get back half of what I deserved. Not even half, 1/3 on a good day. I was out here pouring my whole soul into folks who could barely return a sip. And for what? I had to learn that real love starts at home with me. Loving me did not mean having it all together. It meant learning to stop abandoning myself just to keep someone else around. I had to stop showing up for people more than I was showing up for me. That's not loyalty. That is self neglect. Yes, I'm still that girl who will cheer you on from the crowd, hype you up, and make sure you get the recognition you deserve. But I also learned to give that same energy to myself. I started setting boundaries, not because I stopped caring, but because I realized some people only know how to take. And when you are the one always giving, it drains you. There was a time when I was giving love, advice, and care to everybody around me while ignoring the fact that I needed the same support. I was quick to tell a friend not to settle. Meanwhile, I was settling for silence, for confusion, and for inconsistency in my own life. That had to change. It's a little part. Oh, should I continue? It's not long.
No, this is me simply just taking it in. Let you know what? I think we've teased them enough. I honestly think it is impossible for anyone to have heard just that little part that you read and not go and order Introverted and In Charge, a Black girl's HBCU survival book. So, to every HBCU student out there, whether you're a freshman, whether you're a sophomore, especially if you're an introvert, I hope you go and get Rayvn Webster's book, Introverted and In Charge, a Black girl's HBCU survival book. Um, yeah, and I'm glad I just sat and I just listened to every word that you said. Wow. That part where you said you gave your friend advice not to settle, but you were actually settling in the same breath, that was really powerful to me. Ravyn, as we end this episode, leave our audience with a parting word or short phrase on why you love HBCUs.
I love HBCUs because I'm accepted. Yeah, I'm accepted. That's why I love HBCUs.
Most people who've come to know the podcast know that I cry easily, and that almost got me emotional. So I'm glad I stopped myself. Oh, why am I about to cry? Why do I cry this easily? Ravyn, what is
You
wrong
know,
with me?
you're getting me there too. I'm getting there too. I'm getting a little emotional.
So I'll tell you, let me explain why I got a little emotional. You heard the question, and anyone
Mhm.
who is watching and not just listening, before Ravyn answered, she turned to the side and was like, Ooh. And then she said, I'm accepted. I think I got emotional. I know I got emotional because acceptance is a tough thing for a lot of us. As an introvert, especially, not having to perform and be the loud person in the room in order to feel accepted is actually a thing. So when you said that, I was not expecting it to trigger, but it triggered. Rayvn Webster, thank you for being my amazing guest on this episode of I Love My HBCU ? It is impossible. It is impossible for those listening and those watching to have tuned in and not love this episode because of you. So go ahead and subscribe to I Love My HBCU ? Wherever you get your podcasts. Rayvn Webster, it's an honor to have met you. To everybody, yours in HBCU love. See you next episode. Rayvn, thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to I Love My HBCU ? Let's keep the conversation going as we share our stories and encourage more practical support of HBCUs, whilst of course holding each other accountable. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for the latest episodes. Until next time, love and lift your HBCU.